Dr. Stone, episode 9, recap, go. Lots of things happen. We meet Ansar again. He does a bunch of stuff. Eventually, we make a magnet that makes a generator, and that gives us an Edison light bulb to show off the fact that they are indeed making electricity. So, what did you like? There's a lot of stuff. There's a ton. I've actually, I think notes are going to be a permanent part of this. Look at me getting more professional. But, yeah, again, let's start at the beginning. So we get Senku is set up his ramen shop, which is adorable. They got all the like bowls and everyone's all set up. And then Ansar again says that he wants a cola and kind of gives away the fact that he's from the old world. And just before he has his first line, we get the most villainous face that we've seen so far out of Senku, and it comes with quite a villainous line. I just like the framing that we're meeting Anasar again for the first time, and just before that we get a villainous face from our good guy, and that's right before we meet this very morally gray character. And I just think that's a really good setup for him. Then, of course, we get lied to by Anasar again. He does quite a bit of lying. That's kind of his thing. He says that he's a mentalist and that, oh, he just woke up and then heard the sounds of the horn from the ramen thing. And so Senku informs him that everyone who's had any ramen gets to go work at his iron forge pumping oxygen. And so while Anasari is busy killing himself working to make what will eventually become Senku's magnet later on, he gets interrogated by Senku, and I really enjoy the fact that he's using logical manipulation to outwit a mentalist, which is what mentalists usually do, is they find flawed logic that they recognize that you have and exploit that, or they drill a false logic into you by exploiting knowledge weaknesses, essentially. And obviously that's not going to work very well on Senku, and I like how it doesn't work on Kohaku either, but she's so ready to just, oh no, he's a foreigner, we kill those. And Senku's like, no, stop it. She's like, and then Anasari reveals that, yes, I know that you're Senku, and I'm here to be a messenger for Tsukasa. And Kohaku's like, let's kill him! He's an outsider, he's with the long-haired man, we kill the people with the long-haired man. And Senku's like, no, shut up, idiot. And I love that Senku is unafraid to call Kohaku an idiot. Takes a lot of balls. And it also shows off his snail-like pace towards violence, because if he recognizes that Anasar again might absolutely 100% be a snake in the grass, but he's an intelligent one if he's going about playing his cards so close to his chest. And it's pretty easy to, if you're in Senku's shoes, show off how awesome your capacity to make a good kingdom is going to be over Tsukasa. And I like that it does take some convincing to get the truth out of someone who is constantly lying to literally everyone. I'm glad that our main characters don't really get off on an easy path just because they're our main characters. I like that there's two of them who see through his ruse, and only one of them reacts to him the proper way. Because Senku even informs Kohaku, hey, if you actually do end up killing this guy, we're bringing down all of Tsukasa and his men onto this place anyways, because they're going to go looking for him. We have to let him go. So stop with this murder spree, your murder lady boner you got going on. And yeah, I think that obviously it's important that we have a super violent person, but I'm glad that it's Kohaku that recognizes it instead of like the chief or Magnum? Magma. I think it's Magma. I can never remember that dude's name. I have a problem with all of the lesser villagers' name, because apparently it's Ganon instead of Garen as the town glutton, but hey, I mean, one muscly dude from a video game is just the same as another muscly dude from a video game, so. Yeah, alright, so more things I like. Let's get into Anasari again proper. So, we eventually, once he kind of shows off his cards and he recognizes that, oh, this guy's smart enough that I might as well just confirm the correct conclusions that he's going to get to regardless. So he is ready to play both sides of this war, or either side of the war, really, because he just wants there to not be a war. He wants peace, happiness, and a harem of women to hang out with, which, you know, that's understandable. And I think that there is something really respectable about acknowledging the fact that he is, in fact, the world's shallowest man. He's proud that he's one of the best liars in the world. He will happily make sure that he stays alive, whether Senku or Tsukasa ends up being the victor in the squabble that they're having. And he even he shows off why people would choose Tsukasa's side too. Like, sometimes when you get caught up in the whole, oh, obviously I want my modern day this, that, and the other thing, like, yeah, that does sound nice, but are you really wanting to work for that all the way? Especially with how, I mean, if you're, oh god, I'm trying to think of how to put this. If you're some dumb muscle-bound dude that can go off and hunt and provide for a bunch of people, and you don't really care if you have cars or whatever, you're just trying to go hunt a boar and chill in a hot tub, fuck a bitch, and go to sleep and have that be your day. Tsukasa's side really is understandable for the strongest primate high schooler. That's a real easy life for him. That's way easier for him than going along with Senku and doing all of the hellish pumping iron work and this and that to help other people, where he can just help himself and, you know, be a selfish, greedy asshole. But, you know, why would you want any of those modern day society things when you're fine and all of your friends will just die of fucking disease and whatever? But yeah, if you're really stupid, you don't think it through, you think, oh, hey, who needs medicine? I'm strong and healthy right now, and I'll never be an old person. But yeah, I do think that it is a respectable thing saying that he just wants to be happy. He doesn't want to be around anything that would be labeled as a war. Like, he's not a soldier. He doesn't want to be involved with anybody. Like, even when Magma shows up, when they kind of rip off a piece of the bridge, he only comes to action because he is hearing from the people around him that it's going to be coming to combat, and he sees weapons, and he doesn't want to be caught in the crossfire. So the only reason he does anything is to save his own ass. He doesn't care if there's a fight, but he would be right in the middle of it, so he doesn't want that fight to happen, so he goes and stops it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that particular scene in spoilers, because there's a really, really, really good example of good writing with Anasari again in a little bit. So after that scene, where they make their wire in a fever pitch, we get the single most anime magnet creation of all time. It is fantastic. If you, for whatever reason, aren't watching the show, you're just listening to my podcast, I've told you you're doing this wrong, but I'm not going to stop you. Give me that few time. Go watch this episode. It has a lot of great visuals in it, especially at the very end. But the scene where they end up making the magnet, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just good. Just go watch it. It's visual masterpiece. Watch it. If you're gonna choose one episode to pick out some visuals to see if you'd like this show or not, watch this episode. You watch the intro credits, because Good Morning World is amazing, and the actual credit sequence that goes along with it is stunning. Then fast forward all the way to them climbing a mountain, and just watch the rest of the episode from there. It's like 5 minutes at that point, and it is the three, maybe, well, the magnet creation is really super anime, and it has really good visuals attached to it, but I'm not going to say that it ranks up there with some of the best visuals in the show. However, the end of it is amazing. It is absolutely stunning. So once they make their magnet and put their generator together, we get to see a light bulb. There is a little bamboo filament that Senku made, and he puts it down on a leaf up at the top of the top of Chrome's Sorcerer Tower, and he has this fantastic speech, which, to paraphrase, to get to the gist of, in so many words, he says, "In my world, darkness doesn't exist. We defeated the night to conquer the 24-hour day. And if that does not give you a boner for science, then I dare say you don't have a cock at all." That is one of the coolest sentiments for scientific advancement ever. Because who the fuck isn't afraid of the night? It's dark. The night is dark and full of terrors. It's literally in our pop culture. It's in our lexicon. Everyone knows that going out in the middle of the night is just bad. Doesn't matter where you live, it's bad news to be out, especially in the wilderness, just at night. So if your town is literally built on an island at the edge of the wilderness, literally all of these people in this village are going to share Chrome's sentiment with, yeah, it is absurd to not be afraid of the night and the dark. And then Senku just kicks down the door and says, "Oh, what? Darkness? No, we don't have that. You stick with me. We don't get that darkness anymore. We can go wherever we want. We can build wherever we want. We got the light to see any problems, any predators. We can scare off a bunch of stuff just with these lights, because there's no way that they've seen it before, especially in this world where they haven't seen it in well over 3,000 years. It's a really, really fantastic monologue. And then the episode ends with the first really, really huge payoff for the macro shots. So all throughout the show, up until now, especially in the intro sequences, you get so many wide views of the Earth where there's no lights or anything going on. You just see like continents, and they always feel really out of place. They're mostly just there to drive home just how foreign and alien this world is, or how empty it is. And then in this episode, Senku makes his filament, and it has one of the big space macro shots. It's not a big one, it's actually one of the closer macro shots. It's just of Japan, but you see his light from space, and it's like you can see the curvature of the Earth on the background. So you know you're well up into what is considered space, and he's making this light. And for the first time in these big macro shots, you can tell exactly what's happening without being able to see anything. And it's beautiful. It's the first of these big payoffs. There's so many more, but this one hits really, really hard, because Part of it is just because it's the first one, and I don't know. I think it's just so impressive. I think I think that this whole episode is beautiful. If you are still on the fence about this show after you watch this episode, it might just not be a show for you because this isn't the best the show has to offer, but if you can't appreciate the crackhead speed that this storyboard went through to get through all of the exposition while throwing in a new character and throwing in higher stakes for the conflict between Senku and Tsukasa, and just have fun with some cool visuals and awesome splash arts, then you're not going to appreciate the quote-unquote slow parts of this show. Like, if you think this episode is boring, you're going to find the show boring. And if you, for whatever reason, don't have your big old science boner for the big macro shots and all of Senku's monologuing, then this is probably the good exit point for you. Like, if you're just here to see Science Man fuck up big brute who doesn't have any weapons, then there's like 3 episodes in the whole show for you. That's not what we're here for. And I kind of think that's why I really love this show, is because, yeah, there might be that lingering threat in the background for all of the first 2 seasons that this fight is coming and that's what we're building towards, but it's just a background thing, especially right now. There's no direct conflict there, but everyone still has to play their cards right, and it's really fun to watch people play their cards and see how the conflict will pan out, and understanding every single person's role in this conflict, since there aren't that many people that can be involved in it. Like, by the time you have a fairly good idea of who all is in the village, the fact that you can recognize most of the people in the villages, and maybe even if you don't know their name, you know their character traits and how they've helped Senku or, stood in his way in one way or another. It's cool that we're looking at a quote-unquote war that's so small scale that we can know everyone that's a part of one of the sides. And I'm glad that we take the time to get to know all of the people, because the actual fighting is so, honestly, passe once you get past the first episode of the fighting. Like, it's just kind of, I think the fighting scenes are some of the most boring ones in this show. Although, first time, we need to do the thing before I start talking about those. So, spoilers! Yeah, so the first time the Archer shows up, that is when the first really good fight scene happens, because it's Ansari Gen and Magma doing a thing, and they do a really cool thing, and that makes things work and other things not work, and spoilers. I also haven't seen that fight in a really long time, so I don't exactly remember how everything pans out. But I do remember the first Archer fight is like the good fight scene in this show. There's a couple other ones where the fact that they avoid the fight is really cool, but I would not qualify running away a fight. But Archer fight's cool. Yeah. All right. So, the other spoiler that I told you I'd get back to, is the Flowers Over War bit, where Magma's coming to come murder the sorcerers that have summoned the lightning. And Anasari does a back palm with some daisies or poppies or some sort of flower that he finds. And he uses that to convince Magma that they're there not to summon the lightning, but to banish it and get rid of it. And the back palm is supposed to show him being able to disappear elements of nature, which, you know what? Good on him. That's a smart little mentalist trick. I like it. And that works. And I like that it works, especially on Magma, because, and remember we're in the spoiler section. If you haven't seen this show, don't be listening to this. But once the contest comes around, and there's the final fight with Magma, Anasarigen shows up, and he does the same technique, but using a different thing. So what I'm talking about is he gets Magma to stand still for a whole 60 seconds in the middle of a fight. And that is, good for the other person that he's fighting. And when he does that trick on Magma, he says that it's easy to get someone to fall for something that will give them an excuse to be lazy. So, back to this episode. Let's put yourself in Magma's shoes. A lightning storm just showed up out of nowhere. Your village elders are shouting, "It's the anger of the gods! If you get struck by this, you're dead. Get inside!" And he is going and walking across like the most exposed bit of the village. And he gets confronted by this person who knows that they're not going to beat Magma in a fight. And he comes up, gives Magma an excuse to be lazy and go and hide from this anger of the gods. Of course he's going to take it, especially based off of Anasarigen's own reasoning later on in the show. And that's what you call a callback or a call forward. I don't know. It's just really good writing. You get to see that Anasarigen tries out this trick on Magma. Then later when he comes back and he doesn't have any time to like come up with a plan, he uses this same trick again. He just gives him an excuse to be lazy. And Magma takes it because everyone kind of wants an excuse to be lazy deep down. I'm sure that there are a few psychopaths that are like, work, work, work all the time, work must work. And y'all need to watch. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and I've maxed out my level, so what? Because I still can't believe that's the name of an anime. But seriously, if you're a workaholic or like a 13-year-old girl, you should watch that show. I don't think there's a lot of crossover in those two, so like if you're a really crazy hardworking parent and you're having trouble connecting with a young child, I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level, so what? It would be a great bonding exercise for you too. I'm just happy I can say the name of that anime. I think it's hilarious. Alright, any other spoilers? Sorry, Magma. We get to see Magma's murderous tendencies. He's a bad dude for a long time. Eventually he comes around, he does, but this is not a Sword Maiden issue. Okay, let's get into this. So, Magma is not the Sword Maiden. Right now, I am allowed to hate Magma because Magma is a hateable character. Okay? Eventually, he comes around, and in a really big way, he shows loyalty and forgiveness and all of the redeeming character traits you don't expect to see out of him towards Senku. And he starts displaying those more. And eventually he and Senku are very obviously friends. And that changes over time. When you first meet Sword Maiden in Goblin Slayer, she's already that murderous, awful person who's letting goblins run loose in her sewers. And this isn't Goblin Slayer. If you really want to hear me get into Sword Maiden, go listen to my Goblin Slayer podcast. Shill, shill, shill. Gotta love myself. Alright. But no. So she's already awful. when you meet her. And you're asked to be on her side. And the first time you watch Goblin Slayer, that kind of works. It's a more noirish take in a very action-oriented anime. So it works okay the first time you watch that show. As soon as you see Sword Maiden the second time, you're going through the show, and you know what she's up to, you hate her. You hate her guts. It's absolutely awful. I love Magma because I get to hate him for a while. He's an asshole. He's murderous. He is awful. And I'm not expected to sympathize with him. I'm not expected to be on his side. I'm expected to be like, look at this fucking tomfool who doesn't know his ass from his elbow. And when it comes down to it, we see him be lazy in all of the times that, you know, not being, like, all the times that he's not on the Senku side and he's there to mess shit up, whenever he's given an opportunity to be lazy, he takes it. And according to Ansari, again, anyone would do that. But I think it's kind of part of his character traits. And then once he starts helping Senku, he really starts throwing himself at the issues. And I like that. I like that it's a change in the character that I get to see, and I get to see the reason and logic behind the character change. That's an important thing to have. I'm glad that I get to question where he is on everything the first time through, and then even once I know where he is the second and third and fourth time through, I still get to just be like, oh, I hate this guy until I don't hate him. And that's way better than just having an asshole character that we don't know is an asshole. And then you just play it as some big reveal. I think this is just a better way of doing that. So, I guess that's the things I don't like, but it's in Goblin Slayer. Man. I really need to come up with something other than Yuzuri's earmuffs to talk about for things I don't like. But, like, I'm taking notes. I literally can't find anything in these few episodes that I don't like. Oh god, now I'm thinking about Yuzuri's earmuffs. I need to stop here. God damn it. Okay, so are they made of human bone? Because it's only humans and sparrows that